flowers sent to a funeral, bouquets placed on a grave, and cemeteries designed to resemble flower gardens. All are ways flowers have been coupled with cemeteries. Throughout history, flowers have been placed to mourn the death of a loved one, and quite possibly could be one of the oldest forms of memorialization. Pollen found in soil samples taken from ancient burial caves in Iraq have led some to believe that flowers were placed with the dead as early as 62,000 BC. Flowers are soothing and seem to help soften the harsh reality of death, as well as perfume the area with their bouquet, masking any foul-smelling odors that may be lurking close by. The life cycle of the flower is also a metaphor for human life. There is a profound realization that flowers don't last forever, and either do we. The idea of surrounding the deceased with flowers developed further during the 1800s. Cemeteries created during this time period were designed to be in the form of pleasant garden-like settings. The word cemetery, meaning a place of repose, was introduced into common language. The magnificent Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris was opened in 1804 and was the first to combine beautiful landscaping and memorial art. Père Lachaise set the standard for cemetery design throughout Europe, and the popular style concept would eventually find its way to the United States. The first American cemetery to use the garden landscaped idea was Mount Auburn Cemetery, established by the Massachusetts Horticultural Society in 1831 and located outside of Boston. Soon the concept was being copied at Laurel Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia, opened in 1836. This new idea spread across the United States. These beautifully landscaped gardens of the dead were primarily located outside of urban areas in the United States. This gave rise to the term rural cemetery, but garden cemetery can be used interchangeably. The rural cemetery concept was based on English landscape design principles, which presented a romanticized view of nature. The cemeteries contained rolling hills and lakes, creating pleasant, picturesque surroundings, perfect for picnics, carriage rides, or an afternoon stroll. The rural cemetery became a place for culture during Victorian times. Visitors could read poems and Bible verses in the form of epitaphs, as well as be exposed to art and sculpture, all within a beautifully landscaped setting. These cemeteries were as much for the living as they were for the dead, and actually served as models for urban park systems. These outstanding cemeteries, combining landscape design and memorial art created during the 1800s, are still places of beauty and worth visiting today. Cemeteries, both old and new, many times contain a special garden within their grounds in order to fulfill a unique purpose. A butterfly garden located in Bluff City Cemetery in Elgin is nestled up next to Bluff Springs Fen. This fen is known to contain over 60 species of butterflies and had the rare metal mark butterfly reintroduced to it in August 2013. How wonderful for Bluff City Cemetery to have this special butterfly garden. The symbolism of the butterfly is one of transformation. The caterpillar has only an earthbound existence, just as we do in life. Once the butterfly emerges from the cocoon, it's able to fly with no restraints, which is symbolic of the soul being reborn after death. What a delight for cemetery visitors to experience these butterflies during their visit and be reminded of their beautiful metamorphosis. Butterflies are the theme for decorations in a special children's garden located in Prairie Home Cemetery in Waukesha, Wisconsin. This memorial garden was the dream of two mothers that lost children. The cemetery donated the land, and the memorial garden was built with donations from families as well as local businesses, and dedicated August of 2008. Persons who have had family or loved ones pass as children secure personal notes to the butterflies and place them in this special heart-shaped garden. Special gardens are also sometimes constructed around the resting places of well-known people. This garden encircling the memorial to Les Paul creates a beautiful area of reflection for fans that might make the pilgrimage to his grave. The garden and monument is also located in Prairie Home Cemetery in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Some cemeteries utilize containers in order to place planted flowers on their landscapes. Containers are somewhat easier to maintain than a full flower bed and also spreads the floral color throughout the cemetery evenly. I love collecting photos of these containers in full bloom during my cemetery visits. I have found a variety in the materials used to contain these floral plantings. The most outstanding collection of container plantings that I have ever found is in Lebanon, Indiana. Hundreds of containers placed on individual grave plots through the years have been uniformly painted and planted by the cemetery. A small fee is paid by the families whose plot the container rests on to cover the expenses. The result is a sight of beauty throughout the cemetery that will take your breath away. Personal flower plantings can also take the form of a garden on the cemetery plot itself. Many large rural cemeteries and memorial parks do not allow grave plantings because it detracts from their landscape continuity, as well as hinder lawn maintenance, but smaller cemeteries and cemeteries for certain ethnic and religious groups still allow the practice. Here is a photo of two family members tending to a grave plot planting in the Italian Catholic Cemetery of Mount Carmel in Hillside. Also, a woman attending a family plot in Waldheim Jewish Cemetery in Forest Park. Remembrance services held in cemeteries many times will denote a portion of their program to the laying of flowers on a memorial. The International Clown Week celebration at Showman's Rest in Woodlawn Cemetery is held annually the first Sunday in August, and as a part of the ceremony, the clowns stage a parade where they individually place brightly colored floral stems on the memorial. Another service in a cemetery where flowers are laid is held December 6th at the Christmas Box Angel Memorial in Wauconda, Illinois. These special angels, made popular by the best-selling book, The Christmas Box, are placed throughout the United States to give parents who have lost children a place to grieve. Services are held annually at many angel locations. Long-stemmed white roses were given to all who attended the candlelight service to place at the memorial's base. Many times the digging of soil is not permitted, and only bouquets can be placed on graves according to cemetery rules. Without bouquets being brought to memorial parks, their cemetery landscapes would be barren. The individual markers are flush to the ground bronze plaques, and even when flower arrangements of differing personal tastes are placed, the memorial park still has a uniform beauty to its setting. Some flower arrangements in a cemetery are from the newly deceased funeral, which are brought to the cemetery and piled by or on top of the fresh gravesite. This is a visual illustration of the belief that flowers only grow on graves of the righteous. Sending flowers to a funeral shows remaining family members of the deceased that you share in their sadness and send them sympathy. These graves of the newly deceased would look pretty sparse if it were not for the floral decorations left behind. When a loved one selects flowers to be sent to a funeral, brings a bouquet to a cemetery, or plants flowers on a gravesite, very possibly flowers or colors that were favored by the deceased are selected. The colors of the flowers and their associated symbolic meanings have survived since Victorian times, and flowers are still sometimes chosen because of their color and what that color represents. Pink. Pink is primarily feminine color, stresses youth and innocence. Pink is a romantic color, but not as intense as red. Pink is considered delicate and gentle. Purple flowers represent dignity and honor, and the color associated with royalty. Blue is the universal color of peace. It cools the emotions and has a calming effect. The combined colors of red, white, and blue represents the United States and usually has a military connotation. Yellow is the color of new beginnings and happiness. Yellow conveys warmth and friendship. The color of passion, red, conveys the feeling of romantic love and sometimes represents blood. Orange flowers are ones of enthusiasm, energy, and warmth. White is the color of purity and cleanliness. The color white stresses both elegance and innocence. Sometimes the shape of the floral remembrance is where the symbolism is stressed. Wreaths have no beginning or end. The wreath in funerary art many times is used to symbolize the victory over death as the soul continues on its journey. Another interpretation of the funerary wreath is that the solid ring represents the material world of human existence, and like a portal, the center space opens to the spirit realm. Since 62,000 BC, flowers and death have been connected. From cemetery landscape design to floral tributes being placed and planted at the gravesite, flowers have been used to help memorialize the dead and symbolize the beauty and brevity of life. Thank you.